Welcome to M Squared TechCast, a live show offering the latest news and interviews with the people driving business, technology, and politics in the U.S.
And you're watching the M Squared TechCast here at podcastdetroit.com in Royal Oak. Our next guest.
We have a repeat offender here, Monica Wheat, Managing Director of Backstage Capital. You've been on in various capacities over the 4 years Matt and I have been doing this show.
Yes.
It was Girls That Code, I believe, was one time you were doing that, and you're into so many different things.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun in the ecosystem. I actually, for pretty much every major initiative that we've been on talking about, I still run all of those.
Yeah.
But as we grow, I bring more people on the team to handle more day-to-day stuff, and then I go on to the next big vision.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your latest venture. I'm pretty familiar with it. I was even at your kickoff party last fall, was it?
Yeah.
Gosh.
No,
springtime.
Spring. It was March. Right. I just had to think about
the year
that.
all blends together
at this
after
point,
a while. Yes.
So March, it was probably still snowing. So
yeah, it probably was. Yeah, I know it was cold. So Backstage Capital. This may be the first time folks have ever heard of that. So why don't you kind of walk us through what that does?
So a huge part of Venture Catalyst is helping to kind of spur and embolden the venture capital ecosystem in Detroit and beyond. And one of the groups that we have a national partnership with, and I've been fortunate enough to be tapped to be a part of, is Backstage Capital.
Mm-hmm.
So Backstage Capital is a venture fund. It's based out of Los Angeles. And we recently launched a global accelerator in 4 cities, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, London, and Detroit. And I helped bring it to Detroit, and then I was tapped to run it in Detroit. And what we do is we, through 12 weeks, we take a cohort of entrepreneurs, and we invest $100,000 in each of them and give them 12 weeks of expert assistance with meeting other investors, strategy, marketing, business formation, all those pieces. What's unique about Backstage is that we focus on closing the gap in funding that currently exists for women, people of color, and people of the LGBTQ community. And that's our focus, which what we call underestimated founders. And we have a pretty huge Backstage. Prior to the accelerator, had already invested in over 100 companies in that same framework, and then we added an additional 24 with this global cohort that we just did. So,
wow, that's great.
Pretty massive movement of entrepreneurship, tech, innovation, all those pieces.
Now, your cohort, the 12 weeks must be up.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah, we kicked off in March, and we ended in June, and we had a huge closing investor day, and then we had a party during Detroit Startup Week. Combined the two, and it was great celebration. Each of the teams had about dozen meetings with investors during that final week.
It's wonderful.
So is there any of those you can tell us about? I mean, what kind of companies were they?
I'm very proud of our teams. So one of which is Allergy, is Javier Evelyn. What they do is they have a mobile EpiPen that fits into the back of your cell phone. Another one is, it's now called Guildform. It had a different name before, and they focus on demand 3D manufacturing. So they're a marketplace for luxury jewelry design and things like that, and the designers from Paris or wherever can match with consumers, and then they create product on demand.
Wow.
Another is Naturalicious. Naturalicious is a patented, she's the first African-American woman to have a patent in natural hair care, is a patented natural hair care product line that has national distribution in 4 or 5 national chains. Another is Food Stand. Food Stand was recently bought out while they were in the accelerator.
Really?
They had to exit to Diet ID, and they focus on gamifying healthy behaviors. And so they're B2B, and they focus on large-scale organizations, helping them maybe like make the whole organization do, water 8 times a day, or, no fat or sugar or whatever it may be. They gamify that whole process.
Wow.
Another is CrowdFreak. CrowdFreak is focused on performance-oriented opportunities at national stages across the country. They allow people to compete to be the opening act, and they gamify that as well.
Wow.
I know I'm missing one. I'm going to be mad. But Healthy Roots. Healthy Roots is a a doll company, actually. We have some CPG, some tech, but they are a doll company focused on natural hair, and focusing on education about natural hair for all the millions of girls worldwide that have curly hair and natural hair. The doll itself is built that way, and they also have experiences online that they're looking to develop for digital experiences, but also storybooks and things like that to kind of help complete the whole setup for a young girl, just gaining confidence and having educational play as well as happy play.
So your next cohort, when does it start next spring or this fall or when?
We're working on that right now. So we're getting ready to make all the announcements about when the next cohort will be and things like that. So we don't have dates and times yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so fall 2019 Startup Boost. Let's talk about that for a bit. What is that?
So Startup Boost is a global pre-accelerator. So Backstage is what we did is just a full accelerator, full time, 3 months, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tons of investor pieces like that. We also run through another entity that I'm a part of, Startup Boost, which is global. It's in 7 cities globally. It's also in London. It's also in Los Angeles, in Seattle, Dublin. I'm missing some, New York, Detroit, and a few others. And what we do is we offer a 6-week program that meets once a week in the evening that gets companies ready to get into a full-time accelerator or gets them ready to get some of their first seed investment.
So these are like ideas on a napkin kind of companies.
No, they're a little bit most of them are past
along?
that. Yeah, they're past that because they are usually trying to refine a product. Some of them have revenue. Some of them have employees. It just really depends. They're all at different levels. Some of them have seed funding. You can only have funding up to a certain level to be in Startup Boost. But the program is free. It is another ecosystem-focused program. We're in the midst of accepting applications right now. Applications closed on September 20th. The cohort's getting ready to start a few weeks after that. And for 6 weeks, we bring in like the best of the best entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, people in the ecosystem who come together and offer free mentorship. And so they pitch every week. They do a master class every week, and they deep dive into like getting what we call AIR, ready for acceleration, investment, or to be to double up on their revenue.
Okay. And then we got Vino and Ventures. That's the one I hadn't heard of before.
Vino Ventures actually started years ago. It was actually one of our earliest programs. We relaunched it again recently 2 startup weeks ago, and it's focused on female founders. So we are super excited about that, to bring that back in a monthly series. It's an extension of one of our earliest programs, which was Women 2.0. We had done that, and we really liked the energy and the vibe, and that was in Detroit years ago. And we wanted to have another program that is focused on female founders, tech founders in the ecosystem. And so we've been doing Vino and Ventures for many years, but now we're getting ready to launch a series to do it monthly. What we do is we bring in, we have a masterclass portion, and then we have a funded female founder to come in and tell them all the nitty gritty about how they got there. All the nitty gritty, all the trick is not what they think.
Yes.
But it also offers networking to female founders, especially in the tech space.
Right.
But it really is about building that network, but also giving them the skill set to do that, and doing that in an environment that is focused on women founders.
Okay.
I guess Detroit Homecoming is next, right?
Well, but is there a date for Vino and Ventures, or what?
Yeah, the first date, it's going to be online. It's going to be on the Venture Catalyst site. The first date is the 3rd week in October, and then it goes monthly after that.
Okay.
And
but Detroit Homecoming is only a week or so from now, right?
It's next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fall thing.
Yes, that's a definite fall thing. Super excited to be a part of Detroit Homecoming this year. We've been helping in various ways in the past few cycles, but this year we get a chance to get on stage, and I'll be a part. Steve Case will be there. I think he's before me, and then we'll be doing part of a panel not too shortly after him that'll be called How to Invest in Detroit. And we'll be talking with some other amazing folks on the stage on different ways that people have opportunities to invest in Detroit. So if you're unfamiliar with Detroit Homecoming, you should know that it brings expats, people who have Detroit or Michigan connections back to the city to figure out, they've gone off, they've achieved success, they're running, big companies, they've gotten a measure of fame, and they come back as a blooded expat, as we call them, and then they are looking for ways to contribute to the ecosystem. And so super excited to be a part of the How to Invest in Detroit panel and some of the other activities that are happening during Detroit Homecoming that, again, are all focused on ecosystem building and trying to help Detroit continue its path for growth and opportunities for entrepreneurs.
So, what kind of fruit has that borne? I mean, Detroit Homecoming, and can you point to something, the results that have been really very positive?
I would probably not be the best person to talk about the full results, but I know that there's over 7 figures in investment have happened as a result of some of the connections. I know several other people have gotten deals, have gotten other investors. I know that across the board, some of the teams that initially presented there then used that setup to then go off and do really large-scale deals and also get into full-scale accelerators both here and in Silicon Valley and in New York and different places. So they've been moving. It's about creating those connections and those connection opportunities. And it's been a very successful and successfully regarded program for both the expats and the companies and the different, because there's an arts and sciences aspect. There's also a real estate aspect as well for all the different setups that are in the mix with Homecoming.
Okay.
So, Detroit Startup Week. Never too early to start talking about that again for next year, right?
Yes.
So what are you planning for that?
So this is our second year that we are starting it in the fall. So that's why we're in the midst of last year we launched what we call. I've as a consultant, I go into companies and I help them do design thinking sessions and innovation partnerships between corporates and startups. But what we did last year was we did a community design thinking session to help the community come in. We're 10 to 12,000 strong these last few years, but we bring a subset of those folks in, and they contribute to what do they think the best vision for Startup Week is going to look like. And that's coming up. That's on the Startup Week webpage, and that's on the Facebook page. But the community is open to come in that and contribute. So we're doing all these massive things all through the ecosystem, figuring out like what cities we're partnering with, what special programs we're going to have, things like that. But we want the input of the entrepreneurs and the investors that we are affecting. And
they're the customers after all,
they're
right?
the customers,
Yes.
yeah. And so that's leading into November 20th. We actually opened the applications for next June's Startup Week. So that process starts in November, but before that is the design thinking that kind of helps set that process up.
Wow. Okay. And let's see, Techstars, I guess, is on your list too.
Yes, I'm excited. Something that I've been a part of for a long time is better part of the decade, I've run Techstar startup programs, Startup Week, Startup Weekend, things like that. And luckily, also in 2 weeks, Techstars is having their Global Ecosystem Summit in Turin, Italy. And I was fortunately asked to come and take the stage and do a fireside chat talking about ecosystem leadership.
Well, tough duty. That's a tough one.
I know.
What a horrible trip.
But it's going to be great. I'm really excited because it's one of my most best times of the year because I've been working with the Techstars people in different cities around the world for, like I said, over 5-10 years. And this is one of the only times we get to see each other, trade ideas, trade best practices, learn what each other is doing. But I was also very honored to get a chance to speak and that people want to learn what Detroit is doing. They want to learn how our ecosystem was built and what was good about our ecosystem. And I get asked that all the time. And so we're getting a chance to kind of put it front and center.
Well, the first thing you have to tell them, obviously, is that it doesn't happen overnight, right? I mean,
This is true.
This is like
This is true.
Mike and I have both been around a long time covering tech in this town. This has been like a 20-year process to get where we are now.
I tell people that all the time. I think I started this work in like 2006.
Yeah.
So it's been pushing. It's been pushing a minute, and it's not been something that just was like snap. Here it is. It's super popular now. It's super hot now. But it's been going for a while. Where a lot of people putting in very hard work. A lot of people standing us up and trying to get the word out about the movement and the energy and the tech talent that's here. It's been a lot of people putting in work for a very long time, but it's now starting to capitalize.
All right, we're at that point now where where
get
can
to make your shameless plug? Right
Yes,
here.
yes. I was just saying, well, you've named all these things. Is there one website that contains all these various
All things
links?
Monica Wheat. Yes.
Yes.
How do people get a
Not
hold
just
of
Monica
you?
Weed. I have tons of team, but
All right.
venturecatalyst.co houses everything, and it has links to all of our Facebook pages, all of our social shares, and all of our event links for getting tickets. And it's venturecata.lysts.co.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'd love to have as many folks as possible participate and just support the continued movement.
Okay.
There you have it.
Get out
Monica
there and
Wheat.
help them, folks.
Yes.
And we're
The
building
one,
the entrepreneurial
woman of
economy.
many hats,
Yeah.
Monica Wheat.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with another segment of the M Squared TechCast. For right now, this is Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you're watching at podcastdetroit.com.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life. But LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.